Fiending. Fiending means
But he
like.
means fiending with a D.
Is that how you pronounce it? Fiending? I've always
Well,
heard
I don't
it.
know. I've never heard fiending.
Fiending. I've always heard.
I've heard feigning and I've heard fiending.
I'm fiending for a cigarette.
No.
I think you're wrong. Oh, the
Blair
Matrix
Witch Project we saw with Dad.
No.
Yeah, we did.
Did we?
Yeah, we'd already seen him. We're like, Dad, you got to see this. That was a bad idea.
Did we see the Matrix with him?
Yes, we did.
Yeah. I'm not so sure about that Blair Witch thing. Maybe we'll ask him next time we're at his work and he's fagging off.
Yeah, that was weird. Do you want
Yeah.
to set that up a little bit?
We did go to see my dad at work, and he's just so corny now. He's so gay. He used to be such a tyrant, right? Can I get some acknowledgement?
Yes, of course.
He was a mean guy, and now he's.
But No. He arranged for this meeting to happen
Right,
at his
yeah.
work. He knew you were coming to town because you were taking your daughter to the fair yesterday.
Right.
For her first birthday.
September 19th. Yeah.
And I weaseled my way out of work and I went with you guys. But yeah, Dad had made sure to request that you stop by his
Right.
work.
But he
so
wouldn't
can show
talk to
off the
me about
baby.
it. First, what did he email you?
Yeah, he's afraid of you for some reason. I don't really get
so
it.
Great.
But he emails me. I hear your brother's gonna be in town. I really wish you guys would stop by with a baby. And I'm like, really? I'm just the uncle. This is a dad question.
Yeah.
Go to the source. And then so I was talking to you on I Am at the time because we're awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I relayed the whole thing to you. But then I guess he did come to you the next day and ask, right? Because I bailed out of the whole thing.
Well, yeah, why didn't you say something to him? It was like you said, I don't know, you should ask PJ. And then he said, well, PJ doesn't respond when I try to contact him.
No, he said PJ seldom responds.
Which is bullshit. That's a lie.
That was your exact I Am response.
The only thing
Bullshit.
The only thing I can think of was he had sent me a text. God, I don't even remember what it was about. But I had been asleep or my phone was dead or something, and I didn't respond. It was really nonsensical text, SMS, that didn't elicit a response, and that's the only thing I can think of. But then he did ask me, because I was all mad, and I was like, if he doesn't ask me, we're not going to do it.
But we did go.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, he texted me. He was like, call me.
My favorite part is when we pulled up and your wife went in with the baby and you and I stood outside and smoked first.
We smoked
and
a cigarette.
assessed the situation from outdoors.
We sent my wife into a room full of strangers and her father-in-law, who's like, all she does is hear the stories we tell about him. That's the only impression she has of him. And he's so corny with her. And
you scared me to death because we can't see very well. We're standing out there
we were
smoking.
looking through.
We're
like
looking through the
windows.
window so we can see silhouettes of people. And you're trying to convince me that our stepmom is somehow
We've already
there
said
as well.
her name.
Yeah.
Debbie. I kept saying, "Oh shit, Debbie's here."
Yeah.
She looked just like her.
No. So I thought that all the way up until we were basically inside. So
Yeah.
that was a relief, but it was still a miserable experience.
We can't get away from how scumbaggy it was. Not so much of you, but as me as the husband and father and son of the guy we're visiting, to stand outside for 5 minutes smoking a cigarette while my wife was sitting there. And Dad loved showing her off.
How did you think the reception was to your daughter?
I think
It was mixed. Some people cared more than others.
Oh yeah, big time.
All the middle-aged, overweight secretaries came running out.
I felt so awkward. First of all, I thought it was funny that Dad was too busy saying his rehearsed lines of, Ron, would you like to see the best gift that my son ever gave me? That he never even introduced us to anybody. I don't get the feeling that he talks much, that he gets along much with all of his coworkers, and now he's just bringing the baby around. Probably the only impression they have of Dad's home life is the story he no doubt tells about his marriage, and then like when his wife comes to visit, and I'm sure that's always very awkward.
Yeah. Do you think she ever comes to visit him?
I'm sure she
Did
has
you
in
see
the past.
size of his office? My office
Yeah.
is like
It
three
wa- it
times
wasn't
the
an
size of
office.
Dad's.
It was a cubicle
Well,
within an office, the
yeah.
size of your office.
That's true.
Do you think you make more money than Dad?
I make exactly as much money as Dad.
You guys have talked about that.
Well, we talked about it about a year ago, and my pay has only changed slightly, as has his. We haven't talked specifics lately.
Why did you ever talk specifics? I never did with
Because
Dad.
there are only so many things that you can talk about with Dad, and he asks pretty prying questions sometimes when we get talking about work.
He always tries to pull things about you out of me. Like I told you about how he said, when we were going to the whole reason we went to Western Washington was we were going to go to the Puyallup Fair, which we did yesterday, September 19th.
We did.
Great.
There's some stories to tell
Yeah.
on that subject.
And former guest of the show, Jeff, current friend of the show, he was going to come to Puyallup with us. And
Yeah,
so
he
I
was going
told
to tag
Dad-
along.
I told Dad, we're going to go pick up Nick and his friend. We're going. Well, is this a female friend he's bringing?
First, why can't he ask me? Second, why does he need to ask that
Why
at all?
can't he ask me if we'll go to his work?
Yeah, he just has a weird way of using us to go between each other.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have had a problem going there, and eventually I didn't. I was so annoyed that he would
I was
just
a little
ask you.
disappointed.
What do you mean that we went?
When you told me, oh, yeah, we're going to stop by and see Dad, I figured you would just bail on it.
Oh, yeah, no.
Once we got there, it was
I mean,
fine.
he did. I mean, like, he called me and asked me. There's no reason to say no. He already knew that we were, maybe I shouldn't say this. We can edit this out if we choose to, that we were ditching Mom when we went there.
We clearly cannot edit that.
Yeah, and he said, you know, oh, I won't tell your sister that we came because and I was like, you can tell her now. I don't care.
Did you ever have a feeling of superiority when we would go to daycare, but Grandma ran the daycare? Did you feel like we had special privileges?
When we went to Grandma at daycare?
Yeah,
Daycare
I remember
at Grandma's house.
Yeah, I remember being 7, 8 years old and thinking I was the shit of the daycare playground.
No, I didn't think that when Grandma ran the place. I'd get in trouble. She'd put me in the corner and stuff.
She put me in the corner one time only.
I can only remember one time, too.
She put me on timeout because she had just painted the kids'
Oh,
playroom.
Yeah, I remember.
And for some reason, she allowed the kids to go in there before the paint was dry, but gave us all a stern warning before we went in there to stay away from the walls. And of course, my dumb ass leans into it 3 seconds in being there, and she yelled at me in front of all the other kids. And that's when I knew that I had no, she's not going to grant me any special favors.
Well, let me ask you if you remember this weird thing I remember that will be interesting for no one. Do you remember once we were going to that park that had the really shitty small pool in it? Remember
Harmony
Park?
Harmon Park, yeah.
Yeah, and we were all in Grandma's station wagon, and this girl Tabitha Ike.
Oh,
who
she was a hot
like-
one.
Oh yeah, I loved her. She started crying or something. She said someone pinched her butt. Remember this?
No, not at all.
And then everyone started accusing you, saying that you did it when you buckled your seatbelt or something like that, and you started crying a lot.
That must have Tabitha Ike is old school.
Yeah.
We had to have been really old.
God.
I
wonder if
looked
I
her
could
up on
find her.
MySpace.
Really?
I looked up a lot of daycare kids on MySpace.
Did you find her?
No. But she's probably married. All the women that I can't find on there, I assume, are married at 25 years old.
Yeah.
The daycare was the only place that I felt popular. Like at school, it was a fucking mess always.
Yeah.
But at daycare, we always had the kids laughing and on our side. Generally,
especially as we got older and the kids never left. Kids kept getting younger.
Well, yeah, grandma retired from daycare at least, and so Mom took over the daycare and ran it out of our house, and so
'Cause we moved into that house.
yes. So after middle school, I had been given the option of going to homeschool, but the deal was in order to go to homeschool, because I was not going to fucking go to high school. I went to
Right.
orientation, and that was enough. But they gave me the decision, and I, of course, took it. But it meant that I had to help Mom with the daycare. So I'm 14 or 15 at this time, and she's running a daycare out of the house. And by this time, it's already a mess of an affair.
Yeah.
Grandma, I could see feeling safe leaving your kids with grandma.
Grandma ran a good daycare.
Yeah, she followed the rules. She had activities for the kids. She generally made sure that we were pretty happy and not killing each other.
Yeah.
Whereas when Mom took over, it was, I don't know. I'm gonna let you start on this. This is the one part of our childhoods and teenagehoods that I really make an effort to forget about because it's so embarrassing to think back to it.
Yeah, well, kind of me too. I don't even remember how old I was when all that started. When we moved into that house.
I think we moved into that house in 1990.
So
you would have
only
been
like 8 years old.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't remember. Maybe Mom made an effort at first with the daycare. I can't remember those early days.
More than by the end.
Yes.
It broke bad somewhere and then got worse and worse.
Somewhere in the middle. After she'd had Melissa, our little sister, I think.
Yeah.
So what daycare basically consisted of is the parents show up with their kids, and I'll get to the story, and then I guess I'll say this. But yeah, so they'd show up, and our house was not in the best condition. It was family was in. Our own family, uncles and aunts that would come in for the weekend, would debate the whole time about where everybody was going to sleep because the house was so disgusting.
Yeah. And I was no help to that. I was
big help.
Yeah, you were the cleaner. I was.
Yeah, I was some kind of weird clean freak, but I think it's just because we grew up in such a disgusting environment.
Yeah.
Like that was my way of defense. That's why I spent so many hours cleaning and rearranging my room all the time. But yeah, so they'd show up with their kids 8 o'clock in the morning, getting ready to go to work, and on their way to work, and the carpet's disgusting, and Mom's a mess. I'm sure it's 8 o'clock in the morning. She doesn't wake up until there's a knock on the door.
I'm asleep on the couch, guaranteed.
Yeah, this weird teenager sleeping on the couch where they're gonna leave their kids all day. Yeah, it was just a weird situation, and then so. After a while, towards the end, there were only so many kids.
Yeah.
We were down to 2 at one point, Brian and Starla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But so that's when it basically all fizzled apart. But before that, some crazy shit went on. The kids that she brought into that place, I mean, there had to have been no screening for Mom. She saw it as a check.
I remember when people remember the food check. Was that what it was called? The food check we would get.
Yeah, she'd get so much money every month
to buy food for all the kids. She'd get it from the state. And how much of that do you think went to kids or food for the kids?
Oh, God. I would be responsible at 14, 15 years old for making breakfast, lunch, and snacks for the kids. And I didn't care. I mean, I was happy not to be going to high school, but it was the most pathetic. I can't even give you an example, but it was really bad.
Right.
Like bread and water type shit.
But then when they would come to do their inspections or whatever, or if parents would come for kind of like the open house to see if they're going to bring their kids
I can't
there.
believe, based on the condition of the house alone, that she ever passed.
She'd spruce it up a little. She'd turn the soap operas off.
I would spruce it up
She'd
a little.
turn the soap operas off. She'd throw a couple coloring books on the table. Make sure Melissa's not
whatever
drinking a
charts
cup of
were
coffee.
required by law to be on the wall, all of a sudden were on the wall.
And then when the kids
Just thumbtacked,
when
though,
the
no
kids
frames.
would run by, she'd be so painful. Like, Chris, stop smearing poop on the wall, Chris. Like that kid.
Meanwhile, the second they leave, fuck you. That's my impression of Mom all 10 years she was in daycare.
Oh, it was so brilliant. Don't you think these kids ever like went home and said like, we're staying in this dirty house for daycare. We do nothing. The older brothers are. I remember one of the kids' dads came up to me because I was bullying his son too much.
What kid is that?
Steven and Stephanie were their names.
Oh yeah, I remember those kids.
Yeah, I really hated the kid Steven.
Steven was a fag. I hated him.
And then his dad, like, when I was walking Steven home from school. See, I was older at this point. I was like 15. This kid was like 11.
Yeah, we had to do a lot of school walks to
Yeah.
and fro. That sucked.
And he pulls up next to me and like confronts me. The dad does. It was real scary.
His dad was scary now that I think about it.
Yeah.
I think I babysat for those kids outside of the daycare.
Yeah.
They're like, we like what you do. We just can't handle your house. Yeah, but it was. I really don't like to think about it because those kids were malnourished and neglected for years. They really were. That's not an exaggeration.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was.
Do you think?
I guess I'm responsible because I was in charge of making lunch and snacks, but I was also 14.
Yeah.
What the fuck, Mom?
Why didn't the kids ever tell their parents that though?
I bet some of them did, and their parents could give a shit. But we were talking about this the other night, and you brought up a good point. Like Glenn and Kyle specifically, these two little pampered, spoiled kids.
Oh yeah.
Who are both gay, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
And for each other.
I don't know. I saw Glenn later in life, and he looked kind of awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that surprises me.
I bet he's a pothead or something.
That's cool. We should have him on the show. Anyway, their parents didn't seem the type. They seemed the type
like
that would be able
yuppies.
to see through what was going
Yeah.
on. See Mom for the mess she was at the time. See
They
the
were
house for the mess
obsessed
it
with
was
their
at the time.
kids.
Yeah. And would daunt on them or dote on them the second they came in to pick them up.
One
Glenn,
time,
Kyle, come on.
one time, that little girl Marissa, who was the Jehovah's Witness kid that we had, she told Glenn and Kyle about Santa Claus and how Santa Claus isn't real, and they're all like 5 years old. And I remember her mom bitching to Mom about that, or Glenn's mom bitching to Mom about that.
Remember going way back in daycare when Grandma still ran it, and we were just daycare kids at this time, not helpers. And there was that kid Charisse who was obsessed with New Kids on the Block, as
Yeah.
was every girl at that time. And then was it me and you that conspired against her and convinced her that they had died in a bus crash or
I think
something?
that was you.
And she actually did cry. She was so mortified. I got some good tail going to daycare though.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Nothing. We were pimps at daycare.
No, none of the girls.
Remember,
liked
we
me.
would play the kissing games with the girls. Megan and Rachel were both at the daycare at that time. I'll bet they're hot now too. I wonder about all these girls.
Didn't we find?
Because seeing a picture of them would be weird from back then. Because I was 10 years old, they were 10 years old.
Right.
But they were hot to me.
But
back
see,
then.
that's when daycare was good. Was when we were the same age as everybody.
Yeah.
Like we had friendships. There was Joe Jordan, the rebel kid.
Yeah. And we made up games like
Scott McCoy.
Yeah. When we were actually daycare kids and we were outside playing and not just running into traffic or whatever Mom wasn't paying attention to, like we actually played on the monkey bars. And
Yeah.
I mean, we did
Well,
some stupid shit too.
We had that big jungle gym thing in the back, and towards the end of it, that thing was
Tore
not
apart.
safe.
That slide would have cut some kid up.
Yeah.
Fortunately,
there
nobody was going
steps
outside.
Missing. Are there big planks missing on the top platform?
Yeah. See, how does that pass an inspection?
I don't know.
I don't get how it went on for as long as it did. And she couldn't have been making any money at it at the end.
No.
That's obviously why she changed jobs.
Yeah.
And she seems happier now, although she bitches about work more than anybody I know.
Yeah, but at least she doesn't have to run the place.
Yeah. And so now she wipes old people's asses.
And has been forever. I remember when I was pretending to be obsessed. No, I guess I really was with what's the band that was in Full Tilt Daddy? The band that was in Swingers. Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. I loved them when we rented Swingers, and Dad said, "What's that pornography you're renting?" It's about swingers. And then we were working at A&W, and Elaine from A&W mentioned them. It's like, "Oh, I know who they are." And then we saw them at like Infest and got shirts signed by them. No, you wanted to fuck Elaine. I wanted to fuck a lot of girls at. Oh, pick up the mic. Let's talk about some of these girls at A&W we want to. Welcome back to Girls at A&W. We wanted to fuck talk.
Yeah, because
Moya.
that was both of our first jobs working at A&W,
Yeah.
family restaurant.
You worked there. You worked there way before me, and you quit. Then I started there, and then you came back.
Is that how it worked?
Yeah, and then I quit and came back at one point, and then you quit to work at Suncoast at the mall.
And they never went back to A&W.
Yeah,
But yeah, we both worked there at approximately the same time, and both of us were homeschooled. So we were both high school age, but neither of us were going to high school.
yeah, we got
So-
got our jobs at A&W when we were like 16, respectively. You, and then when I was 16,
And our parents were making us pay rent at 16 years old with our $300 a month checks.
yeah,
Anyway, yeah. So yeah, there were a couple of girls I had crushes on. Elaine for sure, for
Moya.
sure. Moya,
300 pound
300 plus black woman.
black BBW.
Yeah.
Nice, I like it.
I
She
think
used
I've
to-
seen
that's
her
when
trolling the
smoking-
Craigslist.
That's when smoking was allowed in A&W, and she would smoke and eat like 3 number 5 meals every single day.
That's right, there was smoking
3
allowed at that
Dagwood
time.
burgers.
I forgot about that. That's
Yeah.
so weird. Yeah, were you ever a manager?
No.
What I was
People
part of the,
who were
I
hired
was part of the
after me
managerial
were.
team.
The purple shirts.
Yeah, I was a purple
There were
shirt.
purple shirts. You guys weren't really managers. And then there was the people
Well,
that
I was
wore their
manager enough to
ties.
where I was eating my food for free all the time.
Oh, so great. We used to be able to go
Didn't
in
I
there.
hook you up? Was I that bad of a brother?
No, you were an asshole about that job.
Whatever.
Especially when like we worked there at the same time and you were wearing the purple shirt.
Well, again, you come
Too
swooping
much
in,
onions.
and there's like, oh, it's like Nick, only funnier. And then so you come in, Tara. What? No, not Tara. What was the little
remember
blonde chick's
Tara.
name that really wanted to fuck
Jenny.
you? Jenny.
Ginny swore to me she would fuck me when I turned 18. I never pursued that after I turned 18.
Yeah, but think about it now. Didn't she kind of look like a troll?
She looked to me like Rose McGowan.
No, she looked like a very stout version of Rosemary.
No,
Yeah.
no, wrong.
She was the size of our thumbs combined.
No, she was small, not stout.
No. Everybody had a huge ass at that place. And
She
it
was
because
small.
we all got free
She
food.
was as short as Mindy Kaling, but way thinner than her. Mindy Kaling from The Office.
Yeah, I know who she is.
Okay.
Hilarious stand-up. Have you heard Mindy Kaling
No,
stand-up?
I haven't.
Oh, it's so funny.
I-
The only girl comedian I really think is funny. Maria Bamford sometimes, but she does too many voices.
Yeah, I never heard. Oh,
Yeah.
I guess I saw her in the King's comedy. Comedians of Comedy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we both wanted to fuck Ginny. Or no, you didn't?
No, I didn't at all.
There was a girl named Lisa there. Remember her?
I remember Lisa.
Ooh, hot.
She was hot in that way that she would never talk to us.
Yeah.
Like I felt like even though I wasn't in high school, I was in high school.
Right.
Because she was the popular hot chick amongst the A&W crew.
I think
even
pretty-
though, you know what's funny is we, like you said, we both left the job and then came back.
Right.
The first time that I worked at A&W, I probably worked there for a year stretch before I quit the first time. And like I was really secluded, and I would there was a girl that fell in love with me right away, even though I thought she was a lesbian.
Sarah.
Sarah, yeah.
She was in the Air Force and everything.
Yeah, and she was willing to like stay home, and she like introduced me to her parents, and I remember our parents even were trying to rationalize with me like, if you don't like her, you should tell her so because she's introducing you to her parents for a reason. I'm like, oh, whatever, she's my friend.
Yeah.
And then and then she confessed her love to me. But at that time, how many coworkers? It seems like for a while, like my first few jobs, I would have some girl that I had no interest in fall in love with me.
I only really remember that about you at A&W.
No. That happened here in Yakima at the movie theater. It also
Did it
happened.
really?
Yeah,
Who?
yeah. She listens. I don't want to say her name.
Does she listen? Oh, okay. She knows who she is.
Yeah. Anyway, so at that time, I would use our religion, which I was still in at the time, as a cop out. I'd be like, "Oh, I'd like to go out with you, but it's against the religion. I have to date a Jehovah's Witness."
Cop out.
Yeah.
I guess you were into it at the time.
Yeah. But also, it was a convenient excuse because I wasn't into these girls anyway.
Right.
And then, one girl that I worked with at Suncoast that also had a crush on me, who I also work with now
Yeah.
in a fashion. She had a big crush on me, and she kind of turned towards the religion and started studying after I'd given her my excuse. Anyway, I don't remember where we were going with this.
Girls at A&W we wanted to fuck. And that girl Sarah wanted to fuck you. Remember there was a girl named Sarah that liked me when I worked there. Do you remember that?
Yeah, she's kind of a dog face, yeah.
Yeah, she was a big fat girl and super Christian. So I couldn't use religion as an excuse. Like,
Yeah.
she was all about that. Oh, man, she was so fat and ugly. And I felt so bad. Although I will say she was probably better looking than the Sarah who liked you.
Yeah, that's true.
Because she was fat and ugly and mannish.
That's the first girl that ever outright told me that she liked me, and I did not know how to handle it.
The Sarah that liked me, she wrote me a letter, remember? And I would avoid her so hard after that. Like there was one time I don't know.
It
if you
makes for an
remember this.
awkward situation. Fortunately, my A&W Sarah, as we both had ones that confessed their love to us, she left shortly thereafter. Like she quit, not because of me, I don't think, but within 2
Never
months she was
know.
gone.
You never know. You're very likable.
They can't handle working with me after I break their hearts.
There was Tara.
I remember Tara. She was
She was real weird looking.
We were both obvious
never-
virgins and like young, and I think they were just amused at us for being us.
Yeah.
Like they would invite us to parties and stuff.
We
And
went
I remember my
before.
first drug deal was with Elaine at A&W.
Oh, I was going to bring that up to you the other day.
sat-
And it was such a big deal when it happened. And then fucking today I'm riding around the block in an Escalade fucking buying weed.
Of course, now I'm a seasoned adult.
Right.
I know what a
But I
pot
remember
deal
being
is
said,
like.
you said, I saw a drug deal today, a real drug deal.
I was freaking out. Here I am, like 17 years old, total Jehovah's Witness, hanging out with these worldlies when I shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in the back seat. She parks behind the
Is that Home Video Express,
Home
right?
Video Express, the video store by our house. And she's waiting for the guy, and he comes out. And it was like a 2-minute exchange. Every other pot deal you've ever seen.
Were you like,
as
I
an
need to get
adult.
out of the car, get me out of the car?
I was thinking the police were going to screech.
Because you were like that, and my wife, when we saw Harold and Kumar go to White Castle.
I
and
was
smoking
not
a
like
joint in the
that.
car. No, you were. My wife was freaking out when we were
Okay.
seeing Harold and Kumar escape from Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah. So you have a babysitter for the kid. It's just us three. We're
Right.
headed to the movies.
Right, and we're smoking a joint.
Yes.
And we get into the parking lot of the movie theater, and my wife is just freaking out at this point. Someone's going to see us.
Did she
There's-
partake at all? I don't
there's-
remember.
Yeah. And she just needed to get out of the car. So we let her out of the car, and she was all shattered. And then when we parked, we ended up having to park across the street. And you had the joint, and we get out of the car. And I go, hey, where is it? Let's kill it. And you go, oh, I threw it out the window back there. And I go, when? And you're like, oh, I got scared. Alvina was freaking out. I threw the joint out the window.
No. That is a false story.
No,
sir.
it's not.
Here's what happened: is
What
we pulled up, we parked. Alvina was already out of the car, but once we'd stepped out of the car, I instinctually, as if it were a cigarette, stomped on it.
Oh, I didn't know.
I
that.
threw it outside the car once we'd parked and stomped on it.
Oh, I see.
So you don't want to.
Which is a stupid thing to do when it's a fucking half a joint.
It wasn't half a joint. We were clearly.
It was
almost
still
through.
pretty lengthy.
Anyway, I was high for the first 25 minutes of that movie once we actually got inside, and it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Then it was less funny, but it was still funny.
As long as Rob Corddry came on
Oh,
screen.
God. His scenes were so vile and hilarious. Like, so blatantly racist when he's dumping out the grape soda on the street. And what is it? What does he wipe his ass with in that movie?
I would like a piece of paper and there's a ton of shit on it. And say, don't you wipe your ass?
Yeah, but it was a document of some
Oh,
sort.
I don't know.
Some potheads try to convince me that the legalization of marijuana isn't actually a good thing because it'll take away from the thrill of purchasing it illegally.
Whatever.
I've actually heard that before.
The things.
Wouldn't you rather be able to go buy it?
So much rather. The
Not
only,
have to count
the only
on
thing that
anybody?
would be wrong with it is that it would be taxed. That would be the only drawback as to what we're doing now.
Yeah, I could see that.
There would be a tax on it. Just like some of the first marijuana laws was that you had to have a tax stamp for it, but those weren't available. No one had one. That's how they made it illegal.
Oh, I see.
Or something like that. So there'd be a tax on it. But even then, I'd be more than happy to quit doing this illicit riding around in Escalade, fucking buying weed or shit that I have to go through.
Which you just went through yesterday.
Yeah.
Mine's not as bad. In fact, my guy is conveniently close. So
Yeah, you're lucky.
yeah, it's a great setup I have right now. I was gonna say something else about the marijuana. Apparently, I don't know if this is all of Washington or just Seattle or how that works, but it's decriminalized now to the point where I've smoked a lot more joints in cars with people that are driving not caring that much, and not because I'm pushing it, because they're like, who cares?
Right.
It's kind of strange, but it's not as scary as it once was. I walk I walk all around Seattle with weed in my pocket, depending on where I had to go to pick it up.
I'm sure. I know that you can be carrying a small amount, and I don't even know if you get a ticket at this point.
You'd probably get a ticket.
Yeah.
I imagine.
But
just 'cause cops
it's a
are
different
assholes.
thing to be smoking it while driving a car.
Yeah.
Like
Didn't
you're
our
gonna-
cousin get pulled over with a jar of weed in his lap?
Yeah.
Here in Yakima, though.
Yeah.
They're busters anyway when it comes to pulling people
Oh
over.
man, they're such assholes. I don't know what they can do in Yakima.
Wasn't
If
there
they
a
catch
big
you with weed, but-
crackdown, though, recently?
There was a lot of plant seized here in the lower valley, but like
And
not
they
in
all got shut
Yakima.
down?
Yeah, so a lot of the Yakima dealers were kind of out of stuff for a while.
But you
But,
seem to be in supply again.
Whatever they can do, these cops, they will do. There's no way you're going to get a cool cop that lets you go. So
Are you talking about just pot or anything?
pretty much for pot?
Yeah.
Like, no matter what the rule is, whatever they can do to bust you,
Yeah.
they'll do it. They'll give you the maximum ticket fine if they're allowed to
That's
hold you
true.
in jail
Even
for
getting
3
pulled
hours,
over
they
for
will.
a broken taillight or whatever,
Yeah.
too. Yakima is just a bitch when it comes to that. And this is where I learned to drive. And so I learned quick that you're not getting off with anything.
Yeah.
The stupidest shit sometimes.
There's so many cops on these roads.
Granted, I drove for, I don't know, 4 years. Now my license is suspended. But I drove for 4 years, and none of that time, I've never driven since I've had a license with insurance on my car. And so it's
I had
always
insurance
extra
for 1
terrifying
month.
when you think you're getting pulled over or you actually get pulled over.
I've gotten so many no insurance tickets.
Me too.
Probably 5 or 6.
And they're huge. They're like $600 a piece.
Yeah, now. My first one was
Yeah, I gotta
$480.
pay those one of these days. Payday loans.
I'm still paying off one, I think, from a long ass time ago.
But you can drive. You
Yeah,
get
I
pulled
can
over,
drive.
you're in the clear.
Yeah, but I'll get another.
I don't
no
even
insurance
mess with
ticket.
driving anymore. Like, there was a time last year where I was pretty sure my license was suspended, but I still had to drive to and from work every day because I lived about 45 minutes away. Now that I don't have to drive, I don't even fuck with it. That's why my car's gone now. And I'm better off for it. Seattle's a good place for it if I'm going to do that.
Yeah,
And my iPod is a good place for my ears as I'm walking.
yeah. I prefer walking or taking the bus to work myself.
Yeah.
Get a little iPod time.
It's amazing how much love is invested in this iPod. I've only had it since my Christmas bonus last year, so less than a year.
Christmas present for yourself.
Yes.
Nice.
And I can't imagine my life without it now, and mainly because of podcasts. Like, I think I would have got bored if I'd never discovered them and was just listening to music. But now it's a new something every day, often multiple new somethings,
Yeah.
and generally stuff I find pretty interesting or hilarious, depending on how high I am.
Jesse, this one's for you. Jesse from work, the DVD burning king of Yakima, asked me to give him and his
Way to
business a
blow his
little
cover.
shout out. No, he wanted me to promote his business.
Oh, that's what he does?
He
Does
can't-
he have a website?
No, he came into work.
Does he have a girl?
He sells them to.
Does Rick Springfield's?
Oh God,
Yes.
idiot. He came into work and he was selling all his pirate DVDs, and the manager told him to do that in the parking lot.
So every DVD I see fleeing around your apartment with Sharpie on them,
Yeah, Sharpie.
that comes from him.
Yeah.
And how's the quality, or does it depend?
It does depend, but this guy.
You're not really selling this guy.
This guy Jesse, he'll tell you how the quality is before he sells it.
Oh
to
yeah.
you. He's
Does
not
he give
gonna
you?
dick
Does he
you.
knock off some of the price if it's bad?
I don't know about that, but I know that he tells you what you're getting into. There was a huge controversy where he sold some Sex and the City DVDs, and there was only half of it there. But you know what he did? Give me the Dark Knight for free.
Wait. He gave you the Dark Knight for free because of his Sex and the City mess up?
Yeah. We bought Sex and
Oh,
the City.
you bought
for
it.
him,
You bought it.
And there was only half movie, so he gives
Well,
me
you're a
the
huge
Dark
fan of
Knight
the
for
show.
free.
I don't know why I was
It's
confused.
for my wife.
Have you watched it?
By the way, she was very happy to where I was like, hey, I got Dark Knight instead. So she still never got to watch it. And that Dark Knight, by the way, is DVD quality, so go check
Is it?
that out. Yeah.
Wow. Not until commentary, buddy. Not until I can buy some ostentatious tin.
I know. You know what cracks me up is that people from work go to him.
Can I talk about Batman after this?
Yeah.
Just real quick.
People from work go to him and they buy burned DVDs of movies that have been out forever. Like 27 Dresses. I'm like, go to Blockbuster and rent it, and then you can watch the special features.
Or go to Blockbuster and buy it for $5 previously viewed.
Yeah. Or you know what? Just go to Jesse. It's working out for Jesse. I don't want to cock block his business here.
But if you don't want to go to Jesse, couldn't you also go to bdjunkie.com?
Well, you can go there, but then you're downloading movies, so you got to be careful about that. And also you have to have special software to be able to burn it to the DVD.
What do you mean you have to be careful about it? Like the cops might bust
I don't
in?
know. Yeah, I mean it's illegal.
I know, and I've read, I think it was a Rolling Stone article, a big extensive thing when Napster was the huge thing, or I think it was about Kazaa, actually. Remember Kazaa?
Yeah.
And
I was a
they would have like firsthand accounts of kids that had been raided in their dorms and shit.
Because I was such a great source for porn.
For porn?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever used it for porn.
Ooh,
I didn't know
yeah.
you could, maybe.
Oh yeah.
I made a lot of lame mix CDs. I'm glad to know you were getting off the whole time.
Looking at Jesse, you met him in the bar. You think he sells quality DVDs?
Yes. He
Okay.
seems like a trustworthy fellow to me.
Yeah.
I was a little drunk last night by the time he actually entered the room.
Were you
I think.
scared by his huge 6'5" frame?
I've seen that guy's MySpace picture, and he has one where his shirt's off.
Oh, within his
Dude's
photo
not to be
album?
messed with. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to fight him.
But it was kind of cool when I met him. I think I'd met him briefly before, but so I shook his hand last night, and he's like, "Hey, it's Nick and PJ playing Brotherhood," and I know that he listens. Obviously, that explains the 10-minute shout out from before.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the first time I kind of felt like a little mini celebrity
Oh.
because of this show.
Yeah,
Like
and
I
likes
don't
the
know
show.
him, and yet he still thinks I'm funny. That's
he knows
great.
you. He knows
Yeah,
you.
he knows me, and
Yeah.
it's the same with me and all the podcasts I listen to.
Although he did not like the episode so much where we talked about our sex lives. Although that was mostly you. Talking about the patchouli soaked jungle.
Oh, Patchouli Soaked Jungle, episode 10.
I
Check
believe
it out
you
if
said
you
that
haven't.
was a little weird.
He's not the only one to have said that. I had a couple of friends that made that comment to me, and our mom flipped out too,
Yeah.
but probably for different reasons.
Yeah.
Was that the one where I called her a whore?
So there you go, Jesse. There's your shout out.
Yeah.
Go sell some DVDs. Oh, I bet I get free DVDs for this.
TJ, you know me, taking Sophie up our birthday. I was wondering if you, since it's the weekend that we see Dad, I was wondering if you were going to go or not. Because if you are, you can knock on my window again. And I'll open the backyard door for you. And I don't know if you got my text message, like, whenever I did last week. That October High School Musical already comes to theaters October 24th. Okay? Since you wanted to find out when it comes to theaters, it comes to theaters October 24th, 2008. Okay? Love you. Bye.